Welcome to the first episode of So a Client Called Me, where I talk about real life client issues that come up more than once and then, in my mind, merit a conversation. So I have a client, and he's been a client for many years, and he says, Allison, I've started selling on eBay, and I think I need an LLC, but if I don't, what do I need? And this is a great question, and a lot of people, they hear LLC and they think, oh, it's for taxes. And the truth be told is the LLC is not a tax tool. So firstly, I ask him, well, what are you doing? And he says, I'm able to get this product that nobody wants because of my skill set. I can refurbish the product and then sell it on eBay. So he's got a great profit margin on this. And it's purely something that he can do on the side just because of his expertise. And so I said, well, how much money do you think you're going to make? And he's like, so far this year I've made about $20,000. So that's $20,000 before expenses. And then I asked, are you selling anywhere else? Is this Facebook Marketplace? Are you selling to friends? And he's like, no, it's really just eBay. So do I need an LLC? And my first thought is no, because the LLC is not a tax tool. For your purposes, I'm in California, don't necessarily pull the trigger on what is likely extra compliance until you really know what the benefit is. And for the most part, that LLC is going to buy you liability protection so that your personal assets can be separated from your business assets to create some safeguarding. My next question though, my next answer to his questions was, well, what do I need to do? And for me, I thought about sales tax because when you are selling something or providing a service, there could be sales tax implications. And this is really going to be driven by what state you're operating in. Sales tax is dictated at the state level, so you definitely want to be checking about what your state requires when you are selling. So California, selling tangible property is going to be considered a taxable event. However, he's selling on eBay. Because sales tax has become so complex and the online marketplace has created such opportunity for people to transact business, a lot of states have mandated that if you are selling on platforms like Etsy, Amazon, eBay, that those marketplaces now have the burden to collect and remit on your behalf. And so for that reason, my client, even though he was selling in California, he's not really collecting and remitting the tax because he's got eBay doing it for him. So I said, maybe wait to pull the trigger on that sales permit, which is typically what you get when you register with the state. But let's definitely keep it in mind. And I would encourage you to, figure out what your state's threshold is for, do I need to register? There is one benefit to registering. So he is reselling products. If he is buying pieces and parts that are going to be used in that product that he's going to sell, he can get what's called a resale certificate. And this gives him an exemption from sales tax at the point of purchase. Because he's not the final consumer, he can essentially pass that burden on to his final consumer, which eBay is going to collect on. So that's the one reason I would say if you are, if you're making something that's got a lot of parts to it and you're reselling it, maybe getting that resale exemption or that seller's permit will help keep some of your costs down. Lastly, he said, okay, so if I'm not going to go get an LLC, who do I need to tell? What do I need to do? And so he talked about doing a DBA or a fictitious business name. This is something that you generally will register at the county just to let them know that, hey, Allison Duffy's not doing business. It's, Stoneberry Designs is doing business. And so that way the county has a way to cross-reference who owns that entity, or not that entity, but that activity. And then the other one I know from personal experience is oftentimes the city that you are operating in may want you to have a business license. So you've got city business license, county registration if you're going to do a DBA, fictitious business name, state if you're looking for an entity, and then lastly, I'm going to talk about the EIN. And the EIN is an IRS issued employer identification number, and it's not necessarily for an employer. It's just a tax ID number that is separate from your social security number so that you're not handing that out. as you're transacting business. You can then start to say, the tax ID for my business is this number and not, my personal social security number. And that's a pretty easy one to get. You can go online to the IRS and fill out what's an SS4 form. But what I've done is I have created a checklist that will give you 12 things to think about as you're getting ready to figure out what to do with your business tax. Great, I started a business. What do I need to be thinking about? And in it, I've also included an AI prompt because I'm finding that AI can be great, but you have to be really careful about the question you're asking. So you can go through this checklist and it'll just kind of trigger some things that you may or may not need to be thinking about. I definitely encourage everybody to go and do the research, but and then absolutely partner with a professional, but come prepared and informed about what things might apply to you in your business, in your area. So check out the link below to get that free resource.